What's good? Good morning. It's cold, but thankfully I have hot coffee. Anyways, I'm not sure what I'm going to title this video yet because I want to ultimately discuss this idea known as the withering away of the state. However, I want to also maybe touch on this idea that I'm picturing farm folk, but why within the working class community in general, there is often an anti-intellectual sentiment. And I think that these things are connected. This concept of the withering away of the state and the reactionary working class contempt for the intellectual class. Let me see if I can thread this all together. So far, okay. Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, the two people who essentially created what we now know as communism or Marxism, just a collective structuring of the economy and of society. They put forth this idea that to get to communism, you first need to go through a phase of socialism. And when they mean socialism, they mean the collectivization of the means of production of labor, and essentially a socialist state. So very high taxes, but you get everything that you need distributed to you through central planning. And then, once we have structured society in a way to embrace collective living, the state will slowly wither away and disappear, and we will become a stateless, voluntary, collective society. This is not a straw man. That is literally what Marx spouts. He believed we had to go through communism or through socialism to get to communism. But eventually, these people in these positions of power will just give up their power, that these bureaucracies will fade, that these committees and parties and all of that will just fade, and we will begin to live harmoniously together. Because with the introduction of the division of labor, with the introduction of private property, Marx said we alienated ourselves from our world. And so why do working class people often resent the intellectuals? The intellectuals overwhelmingly lean towards being Marxist, being left leaning, but essentially towards thinking we can actually create such a society. The intellectuals rarely work with their hands, with their bodies. The intellectuals often, not always, but often live very comfortable lives. They often come from wealth, or through their particular prowess are able to obtain wealth. They know how to work the system. They're smart. They developed a very specific skill. They just are good with words and can finagle people out of money. Working class people often have difficult lives in the form of physical labor sucks, in the form of not being paid well sucks, in the form of being still taxed but not really benefiting from the system because you're at the bottom and you're actually just keeping the system running. And this is why I think of farm folk, because I would say farm folk are some of the most important people in our country. But they're often, caricaturized, and they're often very mischaracterized, especially by the intellectual class, who just expect them to donate their bodies to society without just recompense. And I believe this is why the working class people, reactionary types, don't like the intellectual class. Because the intellectual class is truly disconnected from reality. It must be so nice to just live a really comfortable life and think that you can then tell everyone how we should order society. I have so much respect for the working class. I truly do. I'm part of the working class. And it blows these commies' minds when I myself am a working class man who is advocating for anarcho-capitalism. And it's so funny because communists will also say they're anarchists, but they're not. They are not, because the state will never wither away. The state will not give up its power. That's the problem with the state. That is the fundamental problem with bureaucracy. That is why communism will never happen. Because we will never evolve to this level of humanity where everyone is just perfect and moral. Nobody is self-interested and self-motivated. That's communism is such a fantasy. True communism is a fantasy. Whereas true anarchism is literally the starting point of humanity. From when and it's even not in that it is. But when I advocate for anarchism, I'm not saying that hierarchies will be abolished. Not at all. Hierarchies will exist, but your participation within any institution, within any hierarchy will be voluntary, truly voluntary. If you believe that humans evolved from apes, even ape communities have hierarchies. Hierarchies are part of nature. Anarchism is the starting point of mankind. So to say that it is not possible is a fallacy. It is truly possible because it's where we started. The introduction of the state is where we went wrong. We want to talk about material conditions and living in alignment with the planet. The state is where we lose our focus. I do believe we are not living in alignment with the planet at all. And I believe the state is the biggest part of this problem that we have. Damn, I was on a flow and then I just lost it. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll end it with this thought, which is why I believe anarcho-capitalism is morally superior to anarcho-communism, which I doesn't believe exists, but just still. Because you can be a communist within a capitalist society. You can go create your own commune and you can all live and work and share and do whatever you want, right? You can do that if you wanted, if you so desired. The inverse is not true. You cannot be a capitalist in a communist society. So more reason why I believe anarcho-capitalism is superior. Because it's realistic, it's natural, it's voluntary. None of that can be applied to communism. Much love, y'all.